it's me, Josie, and today I'd like to talk to you about choosing a birthing hospital in Japan while pregnant. Not an easy task at all. And I'm sure this is worldwide, right? I mean, some women might know exactly what they want, and some women, like me, may have no idea. So, it has been a really interesting experience. Um, well, where should I begin? Let's talk about the different kinds of hospitals there are in Japan. There's your general and university hospitals. These are the big hospitals that tend to focus on everything. You can find a department for anything in these hospitals, including gynecology and obstetrics, right? And so you have those big hospitals, and then you have smaller hospitals that are privately owned by doctors most of the time. And some of them, especially the privately owned hospitals, they focus only on women's health and obstetrics, right? And then you've got maternity homes. These are like midwife-run clinics, and also birthing centers. And then, of course, you can choose to have a home birth as well, right? And so depending on which hospital you choose, you can find a plethora or very minimal amounts of different options. Maybe in a place like a general hospital or a university hospital, you won't find many options as far as birth goes, aside from the typical labor. If you choose a private clinic, they might focus more on water birthing, or maybe they are known because they actually provide you with a painless birth, which is what Japan uses, the term Japan uses for epidurals, right? And so epidurals aren't really common in this country, so a lot of private clinics are famous for the use of epidurals. So, and then like a maternity home or a midwife-run clinic, they might have, a lot of different birthing options. They might have water birthing. They might have a freestyle kind of birthing options, many different plans, and different roads you can go down as far as options are concerned. So you have to think about all of these things when choosing a hospital, right? And as a first-time mom, first-time pregnancy, for me, I really had no idea there was going to be so much available to me at some places and so little available at others. Right? So you really have to do your research, and it took me a long time. When I originally found out that I was pregnant, I was going to a regular women's clinic, but they did not have the resources necessary to deliver children. So after the doctor told me I was pregnant, she said, go find a hospital. Good luck. She didn't really have any recommendations. This doctor also wasn't close to my home, right? She had said, find somewhere closer to your home. So I ventured out with Kazu, and we went to the city hall, as I had mentioned in my previous video, and we got all of our support and all of our information and benefits and coupons and everything we needed. And they asked if we knew where we were going to give birth. Mind you, I was still only, 6 or 7 weeks pregnant. It was very, very early. I had no idea. But there was a clinic, a privately owned hospital, that we were going to go look at later on that day. So we said, well, we're going to go look at Felicia. Felicia is a privately owned, as I said 1,000 times already, privately owned clinic, hospital. It's owned by the doctor, and I believe he is the only doctor at that hospital. I don't know, because I didn't get to meet him, and we'll go into that. So we finished up at the city hall, and we went to Felicia, as we told them we were going to go check out. The reason I wanted to look at Felicia was because I had found them on the internet, and the clinic looked beautiful. It looked very clean. It looked like they had a lot of different options. And the doctor, the biggest part for me was the doctor, his profile said he went to Harvard University. For me, I wasn't looking for a hospital that specifically spoke English, because to me, language comes second when respect, when respect is in the picture, right? And respect it, and building a bond, and language, we can speak in any language, but if there's no respect, then the relationship is nothing, right? The bond is not built. So for me, I wasn't looking specifically for a hospital that spoke English, but what I was looking for was a doctor that kind of had experience in another country, right? Because what one woman in Japan may feel is not what a woman from another country may feel, right? And that's for every woman. And what one Japanese woman feels isn't what the next Japanese woman is going to feel. But it was important to me to have some international experience, especially in a country that is known to not ask questions and just accept everything they're being told. I think sometimes I can come across as being rude or not trusting what the doctor says because I just ask questions. But as a human, that's my right? So this doctor said he went to Harvard. It said it in his profile, and I thought, wow, that's awesome. And it said he had went to Harvard for a significant amount of time, I believe. So I booked the appointment online, and we showed up to our appointment, and immediately, I was looked at differently, right? I'm always looked at differently. I'm not Asian. That's not a problem. But it was like, no English. And it was like, it's fine. We can speak Japanese. He's Japanese. Kaz is Japanese. And we're here. We're gonna do this together. And then she, the receptionist said, okay, well, today's gonna be $250. Do you have that? And it was like, well, yeah, but why? I just want to speak to the doctor about whether this is the right hospital for me as far as giving birth to my child. Okay, I can check, she said. She went back, she came back, she didn't mention the price again, but what she did say was, you can't be here to Kaze. Because of Corona. So can she speak enough Japanese without you? And he was like, yeah, I guess so. And I said, but the doctor went to Harvard anyway, so the doctor can speak English, right? So if there is any miscommunication, the doctor will be okay. Let me ask again. She came back, yeah, sure, no problem. Okay, so Kaza left. And I'm by myself. And I get a worksheet, and I'm filling it out. And I'm waiting for a really long time. An hour. I waited. And mind you, I made this appointment ahead of time. In Japan, you make appointments online. So I made the appointment ahead of time, and I just wasn't, no one was calling me. No one was calling on my number. The numbers were appearing on the screen. And then finally someone came out and said my name after an hour. And then when I went to go stand up, she was like, sit back down. And there were women all around me, right? Like 20 women in the waiting room. There's a woman to the left of me, a woman to the right of me. And she says, what level of Japanese do you speak in Japanese? And I was like, well, enough to live and work here. And she... Long story short, she just kept going back and forth with me about how I don't even know. She just everything I said, she just kept coming back to me. So it was like, finally she'd like put up the worksheet, and she was like, did you do this by yourself or did you use a translator? Can you read this? It's 2020. Thousands of women have given birth in Japan that are not Japanese, that do not speak Japanese. So why are you making it so difficult for me right now, right? That's how I felt. And that's what I had said to her. She had nothing to say. I educated the entire waiting room because she embarrassed me in front of the entire waiting room, right? By questioning my Japanese ability and asking me whether or not I used a translator, and they could have just been upfront. When we walked in together, instead of saying, no English, they could have said, sorry, we're not accepting new patients right now. Would it have been a lie? Yes. I mean, they could have been straightforward too. They could have been like, sorry, Japanese only. And I'm sure, I mean, I would have called someone about it. But still, better than wasting my time, better than embarrassing me in front of everyone, right? So when I said in my last video that I only had one problem, that's what it was. It was feeling like Japan didn't want me to have a child in their country. And the reason I say Japan is because after that appointment, we called Tokyo Prefecture's labor pregnancy hotline, whatever they have, and Kaza explained to them, because of Corona, because of COVID, no one wants me in the hospital with my wife, but they don't want to talk to my wife because her skin color is different. Because they're worried. But guess what? I have a Japanese health insurance card. I've lived and worked and paid taxes in this country for a very long time. And I can meet you in the middle, 75%, 95% of the way. I'm more than capable of going to a doctor's appointment in Japanese by myself. But they don't want me there. And he can't be there to make them feel better because of COVID. So what are we supposed to do? Right? Like, that's what we were going through at the time. And I went from feeling like the city hall made me feel amazing. The city hall made me feel like this is the best country to be pregnant in. Look at all of the support I get. And then I walk into the first hospital and it's just a smack in the face. Like, it's 2020. Who cares what level my Japanese is at? You cannot deny me the right to health care when I have a health insurance card. So that brings me to this. Privately owned hospitals are privately owned, just like a restaurant or cafe are, right? Therefore, they can deny customers. They can deny your business. And I am completely 100% okay with that. Regardless of the messed up reasons they may have, regardless of how closed-minded they are, if they wanted to deny me, they should have done it at the door. Or when they saw my 100% completely foreign name, first and last name, in their appointment system, they should have picked up the phone or sent an email and said no. General hospitals or university hospitals, I can't say they tend to be more open about foreigners because everywhere is different and every person is different, right? Every doctor is different. And that's, so I didn't even meet the doctor. I left. I just left. I gave them like every doctor appointment you go to in Japan, or every new doctor you go to, you get like a membership card. I gave them their membership card back. Like a frisbee. And when we called the Tokyo prefectural hotline, they gave us some phone numbers and we called them, and some hospitals were like, we don't know why they told you we could speak English because we can't. But it wasn't, and that's the hardest thing to explain, is like, it's not about English. But the first hospital had shot my confidence so down that it was like, all right, I guess I've got to go somewhere that speaks English because they're not going to want to deal with me in Japanese, right? Finally, I found a hospital that was really nice. They have women visiting them from all over the world, and they don't know why. And it's probably because they are accepting. They are welcoming. And they don't care about the color of your skin or where you come from, right? A woman is a woman, and they accept everyone. So the hospital was called the Iwakura Hospital in Edogawa-ku, and they were super sweet. They took care of me for a long time. I think I visited them by the time I found Iwakura, I was at 10 weeks. You could see how long it took me to find a hospital that was accepting. A private hospital. And the reason I wasn't really looking at the big general university hospitals was because of COVID, right? So, and also another reason I was looking at the private hospitals was because, like, they specialize in babies, right? In delivering babies and helping pregnant women, and like that's their specialty. So it just felt like that's where I belong, you know? From 10 weeks to nearly 30 weeks, I think I had left. Yeah, I left there, and I'll tell you why. Not their fault at all. I mean, well, so they took care of me the entire time. The doctor was really, really sweet. The appointment system was very easy. I could meet with him every time. He had passion about his job. Dr. Iwakura was so sweet. He always took his time. He always gave me time, always asked me if I had any problems, anything I want to talk about, give me a question and answer moments during the appointment. And I heard from my other friends that have also experienced pregnancy in Japan that, like, sometimes they just get them in and out. Like, yep, the baby's in there. Yep, looking good. All right, bye. And you don't really have time to ask or talk or anything, right? But Iwakura really gave me a decent amount of time every appointment. At about 20 weeks, I had asked if Kazu could come with me during delivery, at least delivery, because, well, I'm in another country. Yes, my Japanese is okay, but if there's an emergency and he's not the doctor to deliver the baby because it's at night or on the weekends, that's another thing, right? Like, doctors can choose when they work if it's their own clinic. And so because he owned it, he decided he's not working at night or on the weekends. So if I had my baby at night or on the weekends, he wouldn't be the one to deliver it. No other doctors really spoke English. So it was just like, even though we were meeting in the middle, speaking Japanese and English together, what happens in case of an emergency, right? Like that's kind of scary to me. And maternity terms, labor terms, delivery terms, pregnancy terms, these are all new terms to me, even in English, let alone in Japanese, right? So I asked if my husband could be there. I understand there's COVID problems and you don't want birthing partners in the room, but could you possibly make an exception for me? But he said no. And I understand that, because if you do one thing for one woman, you've got to do it for everyone, right? And he made me feel better about myself. He was like, listen, your Japanese is great. You're going to be fine. You can do it. I'm not worried about you at all. Yeah, I know, but I'm worried about me, right? And then it started to feel like, and you know, Kazu was supportive. Kazu was like, I don't care. I just want you to be where you feel safe and comfortable. But then it started to feel like, well, if my husband can't be there, and if I give labor at night or on the weekends, and you're not going to be the doctor, then why am I here? You know, like I'm just going to end up alone in the end. So I knew that there were other hospitals in Tokyo that were allowing birthing partners. But it was finding one that was close to my home that was the issue, right? And then I was like moving closer and closer to a deposit date. Because in Japan, a lot of times you have to pay a deposit. So even though the government gives you that money, you kind of pay your deposit to like make a reservation, right? Not for an exact date or anything, but at least know that like that's where you're going to give birth. And you're not just gonna skip out on them. Who knows where you'd go anyway, but so I was getting closer and closer to that deposit date. And I had to pay Iwakura Hospital at 28 weeks if I wanted to have a baby there. And a hospital that I had found, which is the Red Cross Hospital in Katsushikaku. There's quite a few different Red Cross hospitals in Japan and in Tokyo. This one is specifically Katsushikaku. They want a deposit by 30 weeks. So it was like, all right, I've got to make a decision. And I told Dr. Iwakura, thank you so much for taking care of me. You've been really, really, really awesome. But I need my husband with me during delivery. Labor would be really nice too. But if he can't be there during labor, I at least need him there with me during delivery. And he completely understood. And so he wrote me what is called a shokaijo in Japanese. It's like a reference or like a referral letter, and it just explains how far along I am, or to be honest, I really don't know what it says because it wouldn't let me open it, but I'm assuming it tells them like how far along I am, if I've had any problems, things like that. And then it just passes on to the next doctor, right? And you can't go to any doctor at a hospital usually without this letter from a previous doctor. So unless it's like your first initial visit to any doctor. So I went to the Red Cross in Katsushika, and Kazu got to come with me to the appointment. And that was something, that was awesome. We got to get new ultrasounds, and because it was my first time in the Red Cross hospital is a general hospital, they actually sent me to a radiologist, like an ultrasound tech. Whereas in privately owned hospitals, the doctor is the one to do it, right? But this person like went to school for x-rays and ultrasounds and things like that. So she was a pro. She was awesome. I wish I could go to her every time, but I feel like from now it's just going to be the doctor again, as usual. And that was just because it was like the first checkup. They needed like a legit scan and measurements and things like that. But I hope I can go to her again because she was awesome. Regardless, Kazu got to be with me, and that was amazing. And it just feels like he's way more involved in the pregnancy now, and he'll be able to see the baby growing, and he'll be able to talk with the doctors. Mind you, I did mention in the beginning, general hospital, you get a different doctor every time. This department has 4 doctors that can deliver the baby. 4. That's not many. And I mean, yeah. They told me if I had a problem with any doctor to tell the receptionist, and they stopped giving me that doctor. So, I'm not too worried about it at all. And the thing about Red Cross in Katsushika is it's actually the Red Cross maternity hospital. So even though they do take care of other people for other things, their main focus is maternity and delivering, right? Delivering babies. So I'm really happy to be there, and I never expected a big hospital to have such sweet and kind staff, right? Because usually, as I said before, you go to a general hospital, you feel lost, it's too big, people are that's just their job. And it felt like private hospitals were more focused, but the Red Cross Maternity Hospital in Katsushikaku has been absolutely amazing. I couldn't be more thankful. As far as options go, the previous hospital I was at didn't have many options at all. Of course, they supported like a freestyle labor, you could move around, which to me is very important because I heard that some hospitals, once you start to go into labor, you've just got to lay on your back. And The Red Cross Maternity Hospital, however, has a really nice tatami room, like a Japanese tatami room, that you can give birth in if you are low risk. Assumed that I was low risk and I'd be able to give birth in the tatami room. But I'm actually not low risk because my blood type is AB negative and that is not low risk. So I will give birth in a regular birthing room, which is fine, but they said I can still be freestyle. They're not going to strap me to the bed or anything, so whatever. Was I upset? I mean, yeah, but to me, the baby's safety and my safety is most important, and the fact that Kaza can be with me, right? There's a huge community on Facebook called Tokyo Pregnancy Group. It is around 1,200 members, a lot, right, of women who've been pregnant in Tokyo. Maybe their husbands too, right? Husbands need to be included in this. And it has been like a dream to be a part of on Facebook because people ask their questions, you can ask your questions, and the answers you get, they really help. They really, really help. I mean, if you have a question, you can search the group and see if it's been asked before. A lot of these women choose to give birth at places like Aiku and Niseki Hiro. So Niseki Hiro is Red Cross Hiro. Because they're more central Tokyo, maybe they live in Minato-ku area. I don't. And of course, there are plenty of other women in the group who've given birth all over Tokyo. So it really, really helps. And sometimes women have awkward experiences like I had where they couldn't tell me to my face they didn't want me to be there. And you can talk about things like that there too. Labor pains, whatever week you are pregnant, you're experiencing something different. Everyone is just really there. It's an awesome support group, and they've really helped, really, really helped the entire experience, especially with changing hospitals, because as I said, you need a reference letter, a referral letter, and it's a little bit more difficult than I feel like it would be in America, maybe. I think, like, if you're pissed off or you just don't like your hospital, then you can go to another one, and yeah, there might be things you need to bring with you, like your records and stuff like that, but you can also look at hospitals, I feel like, way more in America. But again, we are in the time of the COVID, so they don't want to do tours, they don't want to do anything, which is completely understandable. So maybe it would have been easier to look for and change hospitals had COVID not been here. But overall, it's been an interesting experience. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. That has been my experience with changing hospitals and choosing a hospital while pregnant in Japan. I hope you enjoyed it. And I can't wait to talk to you guys again soon. Thanks so much. Bye!